Oh man. How should I say this? Basically looking for a job up in the tech industry or even any industry overall in this climate, like in this deceptive economical climate, is literally no joke. And it basically actually just goes to show that at the end of the day, expertise can definitely do help, and definitely grades can actually do definitely help up to a point. But the most important thing that we can all learn from is not about who you know and who you click with, who you connect with. It's who knows you, who notices you, and who mainly fills you out and fills your skills out. And I want to give a huge shout out to Will from Before the Billions that actually provided this type of info that I actually want to continue with in regards to this matter at this very, very, very crazy time.
Right now, in such a brutal job market, it is actually about who knows you more so than anything else. So if people know you, like people can come up, like since I started my layoff journey, I made a lot of content. And people will come up to me and say, hey, I recognize you from LinkedIn or I recognize you from YouTube. I had a few viral videos and posts that I made, and a lot of people started watching me. Nobody wants to get on the train that isn't moving. So if I was just laid off and I just applied to jobs, I'm not showing people that the train is moving. I'm not showing them that I'm doing anything. They just think I'm lazy and wasting a lot of time. So what I did was I started making content, talking about my layoff journey, talking about what I'm doing, keeping people updated, and that helped me out tremendously with getting more notoriety for being a data engineer, and then also for being active and keeping moving. Because I started making content talking about my journey, I started getting speaking engagements. I was featured in Business Insider and Forbes BLK and several other news publications and platforms. I've been a guest on several different podcasts talking about my layoff journey. I've volunteered to mentor people who are in computer science or interested in computer science. Had several keynote speeches. My most recent one was at Clayton State University, and I have posted the full keynote speech on my YouTube channel Before the Billions. I was able to make a YouTube series about my layoff journey, and that series alone yielded over 100,000 views. I never received that many views on my YouTube channel ever, just for like one series. So, and it's still growing with views. So you can say I kind of went semi-viral or mini-viral when I made that series. And that helped me out a lot because I got a lot of people reaching out to me. I got contracts from it, and I was working for people who were trying to finish their websites and people who wanted data engineering work or consultations. So I helped a lot of people out in that manner. And the reason I bring this up is that I think that the number one way that you can beat the ATS system, number one way that you can have a better opportunity to get a job is creation of content. I believe that is one of the best ways of getting a job right now. Simply because it allows for more people to know you. So overall, that beats the ATS system because people saw my post, right? The recruiter who got me my job that I'm at now saw one of my posts on LinkedIn, liked it so much, they said, I feel like I know you. They offered me an interview. I did well in the interview, and then they gave me an offer, and then the very next day the offer was accepted and I was able to get the job. And I did not get the application. I didn't even apply for the job until right before they gave me the offer. They said, hey, before I can give you the offer, you have to apply for the job just as a formality. So the ATS system didn't hurt me in any way, right? I didn't go to the ATS system until after they already interviewed me and they gave me a private link and everything else. So understand that that is one of the best ways. But if you don't want to go through the route of creating content, the next best thing that you can do is connect with a lot of people on either LinkedIn. I know that a lot of people on Twitter or X, a lot of people go on there in order to network and meet people. One of the best ways to meet people too is in person. But if you network with hiring managers and recruiters, you're putting yourself in position for you to be sourced. And they say, oh, I'm looking for somebody with data engineering or data analytics experience. Well, you put yourself out there and you'll be able to get more traction than if you just post your resume into the ATS system.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Nerd Chronicles with your host, Christian Paul speaking. And y'all, I tell y'all, the job hunting, just to be in the tech market, for being a data analyst, for applying for data analyst positions, data scientist positions, machine learning engineerings, or even like government positions, even if you have all the qualifications down packed, somehow you're still being let down. Somehow they still reject you. And it's just, you feel like you have nothing else to give, or you have nothing left to give due to the fact that you did everything right to the best of your ability. But given this tough market that's been going on, and given how difficult the climate is, and I know Will has been talking things about, overcoming the ATS system by networking content, which I fully agree with him 100%. I'm not going to defer with him on that aspect. It is actually important that, all of us actually would basically do so. You know what I'm saying?
I'm about to dispel a commonly held myth about applicant tracking systems. Most people believe that ATS systems are AI gone rogue, some sort of robot that's taking your career dreams and shredding them into pieces. Here's the thing, an ATS system is not rejecting your resume. A human is. Recruiters and hiring authorities just use ATS systems to manage large amounts of employment data. If you're worried about getting past that evil ATS system, the best thing that you can do is have a custom optimized resume.
It's very, very important that we actually just take his advice mainly to heart, because it's just some real unfortunate stuff that anytime you do all these easy applications that you see on your LinkedIn, that you see with built-in NYC, all of a sudden it's easy rejections. Now, why would they do that? Because companies, they don't want to try and pay those recruiters mainly too much money just as you try and go over these resumes, while they feel they could use it for something else that they feel is more productive in a very cutthroat economy.
Rank the most common ways to get a job in order of effectiveness. The best way to get a job is to be an internal applicant. Internal applicants get priority in the recruiting process. That's why when you're interviewing for a company and they tell you that somebody has come in as an internal applicant, it's probably the kiss of death for you, because they're going to get preferential treatment and they're likely going to get benefit of the doubt even if they're not the perfect candidate on paper. The second best way is through referrals. Either you know somebody that works at the company or you get somebody to vouch for you, and preferably a hiring manager. And coming in third is recruiter source candidates. So I go on LinkedIn or other places and I find you and then submit you to my hiring manager. And this means that I'm pre-vetting you before you even know I've seen your profile. And last, and the hardest way to get a job is through job applications, because it's the slowest, you're dealing with the most competition, and the chances of you being actually aligned to the job are probably the slimmest.
And that's why these rejections, even though I've looked at, even though you may qualify for a position, aren't even looked at because of cost restraints, or basically they basically want to try and do their best to mainly cut costs and see if they can find further cost-effective routes by finding someone that's definitely within their network that they mainly know of or they definitely notice of. Hence the term, it's not about, experience in some ways. It's more so about who notices you, given the situation. Yes, experience is definitely one thing. Education is definitely another big thing, which is important. But at the end of the day, it's definitely who notices you. And they mainly basically favor people that actually working within their network or working within a company to actually fill those roles, rather than like somebody coming from the outside to actually try to fill them, which is mainly, unfortunately, a sin and a shame. And the best way to actually mainly counter these things, especially when it comes to these ghost jobs, and ghosts, a lot of these companies actually try and pile these ghost jobs purposely as well to actually optimize their SEO, also their search engine optimization, to improve their SEO ranking when it comes to the company. So that's also another factor they got to worry about. The best way to counter these things, as well said, content and networking in person as well and online. And I could personally tell you this very confidently because I've been in like networking, and I've been networking the various events all over New York City since 2022. Okay? I wouldn't have had the projects. I wouldn't have had all the stuff that I mainly built. I wouldn't have had the development that I mainly learned when it comes to the tech industry, when it comes to software engineering, when it comes to data science or even machine learning, had it not me had not been making the effort to actually try and make it to those networking events all over Manhattan, some parts of Brooklyn, Queens, or even some spots in Jersey. You know, I would not, that none of that wouldn't have been possible had I not made the effort to mainly go out there. You know, and that's the point I really want to actually try to make to you guys. You know what I mean? There's still definitely some hope there. It's just definitely needs you to actually take some time for somebody that actually mainly knows you. And when someone knows you of somebody that's of caliber, whether it's of somebody that's of a high position or a hiring manager, or even someone mainly from the YouTube streets, at least you get some publicity doing what you mainly love to do, doing basically what your hobbies mainly are, and all these things is very huge importance to definitely try to link up with people that actually up in your field, especially when LinkedIn, and actually try to build your brand up. Not just on LinkedIn, but definitely YouTube, definitely TikTok as well. Get to know the social algorithms definitely behind those websites so that you'll be able to actually try and do your best to actually get a leg up on the game by any means necessary, as long as it's definitely the legal route. You know what I mean? Do not be afraid to speak with people. Do not be afraid to talk with people. Do not be afraid to experiment with people, because, again, the goal is not to mainly get a job when dealing with networking. The goal is to mainly leverage as much of your networks as possible and also build your network. Try to build relationships with as much people as you can and try and learn from them, right? Most recently, I was at a networking event last week where we were doing like a startup proposition around late October. Basically, one a close friend of mine that I met at a networking event that basically was doing a startup at a meetup at the event at the time, coming from LinkedIn. Basically invited me to actually come over to the event. And they were doing like some startups basically with like some giant tech advancements based out of Europe and as well as based out of Italy. I believe it was Italy specifically, in which they were doing all these startups, and like some of these like startup businesses up in Italy were looking to actually try to expand their brand, expand their startup companies, and look for some roles so they can actually try and base off of up in the New York City market. So I've actually witnessed that stuff mainly firsthand. So it's definitely like a huge plus. You could definitely actually get to speak with people, you know, definitely hiring managers, definitely CEOs. You actually get to know and actually learn from what they do and actually try to connect with what they mainly have brought to offer and see, you know, what you could definitely bring to the table given your expertise and what you could do to actually build to really help propel their company. And also another factor to those things, like when they talking about, you know, we need some experience given those software and everything else. The software they mainly do, they try and mainly keep that stuff in wraps. Number one, to actually maintain and actually protect themselves, you know, prevent themselves from getting hit with conflict of interest, so that no other competitive businesses mainly steals their ideas to try and give a level up against a company. That's why I actually try and do everything they can to maintain their work and maintain their self-keepings just to mainly preserve their bottom line. That's another factor as well. So I do want to actually try and point out all these things, and I also want to actually give some other benefits to networking as well. Now, what can networking do besides actual job hunting? It forces you to actually be more social. It could force you to actually create more leads. It could definitely force you to actually create other new friends, with other various meetups as well. It could definitely force you to actually get more comfortable speaking with other people, speak with other women as well, actually try to experiment like certain views, definitely experiment certain ordeals, definitely try to maintain professionalism, actually create opportunities for people should you actually want to try and pick basically a man or a woman as you go on a date. You know what I'm saying? So this definitely actually does like a huge pickup. It just makes you feel more confident in yourself to actually get yourself more comfortable being out there and mainly speaking with people. That's what networking mainly does for you. As I mainly discuss with the loneliness and depressive video that I had the last time, one of the best ways to combat that phenomenon, to combat those ordeals that you're dealing with, is networking with other people and meeting new friends and going to meet up on new events, just to actually try to meet new people and get comfortable being around other new people. Challenge yourself. You know what I mean? That's one of the best ways to actually mainly go about it. If you have enough courage, if you have enough of the confidence with some occurrence from therapists to really just go out there, that's to go speak with them. That's basically what networking mainly is. It's just you want to try and meet up with people, connect with them, get some leads, learn from them, build serious relationships with them so you can have a backing of support whenever you deal with a job or whenever somebody else comes by and sees you of interest up in the social market. They actually want to actually try to basically want to actually consider you as a contender for a possible serious partner. You know what I'm saying? And with those ordeals, with the high value rate that they mainly come by, and yes, I'm dealing with jobs that do pay a very high salary, about $100,000 a year and up. Okay, so I can actually relate to some of these things that some of these dudes actually come by, but with that rhetoric, they don't really fully tell you behind the scenes and actually how to actually search for jobs in further detail given the needs that you're in. They don't really tell you about certain ordeals on like what ordeals you post, and if you post unconscious stuff, how you're going to be able to communicate these things. They don't really tell you about those ordeals. They'll basically say if you don't get something that's like of over $100,000 a year, or if you lose that type of money that pays you high salary, you automatically lose, you automatically disqualify from the conversation of being the most attractive, which definitely in realistic terms and practical terms is definitely far from the truth, because at the end of the day, it all comes down to mainly character building, and it all comes down to confidence within yourself to mainly build from within, just actually build and harvest those relationships that you mainly are yearning to actually make sure that you are the cats. And this is coming from a man's standpoint here. All right. But also, I want to actually know this. I definitely utilize social media, LinkedIn, YouTube, to your advantage. Just make sure you stay, when it comes to certain topics, definitely make sure you tailor your skills as well. But if it does go slow when you're actually trying to build, ain't nothing wrong with actually discussing more about various topics. Nothing wrong with giving your opinion on things. Just make sure you do your best to actually be in a neutral position, as long as you don't really talk too much about politics or get real too crazy about it. As long as you're actually trying to speak more about what's right and what's wrong, given from a neutral situation, due to the fact that there's anecdotal evidence, there's nothing wrong with talking about it, as long as you explain these things mainly in pure detail and not trying to force feed a narrative. You know what I mean? God forbid if you say something wrong, or if you focus on posting or doing the social media, doing a live while you're working, or if you get caught, on camera doing like some ratchet stuff, or you get caught on social media berating people, right? Jobs can actually see it. Businesses can actually see it when you're doing with business deals. Companies can see that, and they can look at you as a risk to actually hire, because they feel you're going to be costing them their bag. You know what I mean? Or if you actually worked for a company before and you're being reckless, or you're actually doing some stuff that actually just berates people on social media, they have no other choice but to fire you, because they see you now as a heavy risk to their bag. You know what I'm saying? So you want to try and make sure, once you actually do the posting, just make sure that you do your best to stay professional and be as discreet as all times. Definitely do your best to minimize the profanity, for sure, depending on what topics that you're dealing with. There's nothing wrong with voice of frustration, but you don't want to be too much of a potty mouth when it comes to networking and all these other ordeals. Whenever you're trying to actually build your content, just make sure you do your best to be as professional as possible, just so that you'll be able to actually maintain as much leverage down to your favor whenever you least expect it. All right? So those are my 2 cents when it comes to the whole networking ordeal. Networking in today's day and age is extremely crucial for not only for job searching, but also relationship searching, actually buying, building a network of friends that will literally hold you down, friends and acquaintances that can mainly hold you down whenever opportunities mainly arise. All right, so I'm going to leave it at that, and I'm going to continue to actually watch my Monday Night Football game at the time of this recording, while I actually get all these videos edited in regards to this whole ordeal. All right, definitely actually take the advice, definitely build your network. Also, if you have a GitHub and you're in the tech space, definitely put the GitHub up in public. Also, build your GitHub, do some leak code problems. I don't know about leak code, but I'm just say do some Calgo problems. If there's sites where you're able to actually do some work or some contractual work, whether it's profit or non-profit, do those things as well. Do your best to solve as many problems as you can and post them to your LinkedIn, post them to your GitHub, post them to your YouTube so that folks will actually know what's really going on and how you're able to do it. Document, Don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to be curious, man. Ain't nobody's an expert out here. Just document your work. That's all you need to do. Document your work and build a network. You know what I'm saying? As Will from Before the Billions would say. Chrissy Paul from their Chronicles is signing out. Deuces.
One of the biggest disconnects that job seekers are experiencing in their job search, especially a frustrating one, is that they don't have the right mindset. They don't believe that they should be marketing themselves, that their experience should speak for itself. The reality is, though, is that we're all marketers first and foremost, and then whatever service we provide, whatever job we do is secondary. And let me explain why. You have to start thinking about your career as a business of one, and the product that you sell is the service that you provide. So the job that you do, so say you're a software engineer, you're providing that as the product for the company, and the company is shopping for that product. They have a job posting, and they're essentially announcing that they're shopping for a new product. Now, I don't want to commoditize us as people, but that's essentially what they're doing. So the disconnect is most people don't feel like they have to market themselves, that their product should speak for itself. Your resume should speak for itself. But that's not the reality. The reality is that the person who's best at marketing themselves is often going to get the job, not the person that's the most competent. Just think in your own life, and I've had companies that I've really loved and admired that had the best possible product. There's far superior to the competition, but they stunk at marketing themselves, and the company eventually goes out of business because nobody knows that it exists. So the same thing with our careers. So you have to look at it from two facets. You can offer the best possible product, but you also have to be an expert marketer. I can't help you offer a better product. I can't make you a better software developer, for example, but I can help you with the marketing component of it, and that's 50% of your career. So the sooner you embrace this and learn the skills of marketing yourself in your career, the more successful you're going to be.